You know those moments when your whole day feels heavy, and then one unexpected line flips everything? That is exactly what happened to Emma that quiet evening. She had been staring at her phone for almost an hour. A missed call from Daniel sat at the top of her screen, glowing softly, like it was waiting for her to decide how she truly felt. Emma wasn't avoiding him. She just didn't know what he wanted to say, and she didn't know what she wanted to feel. Their friendship had always been calm, steady, and safe. But lately, every time Daniel spoke, her heart reacted before her mind could catch up. She wasn't sure if he noticed. She wasn't sure if she wanted him to. The sun had already dipped, leaving the sky a soft gray. Emma took a breath, sat on the edge of her bed, and finally pressed the button to call him back. The phone rang once, twice, then he picked up immediately, almost as if he had been waiting with the phone in his hand. "Emma?" he said softly. His voice alone warmed the room. She tried to sound normal. "Hey, I saw your missed call. Everything okay?" There was a tiny pause. Not long, just long enough for her heart to tighten. Then Daniel spoke a line she never expected. "Emma, I called because I really needed to hear your voice today." Just like that, her entire mood shifted. The weight she'd been carrying all day suddenly loosened. Her chest filled with this warm, surprising calm. Nobody had said something like that to her in a long, long time. She swallowed. "Oh, well, I'm here," she whispered, trying not to let her voice shake. Daniel let out a gentle breath, almost relieved. "I had a really tough day," he said, "but the moment I thought about calling you, it felt lighter. You always make things feel lighter." Emma pressed her fingers to her lips, trying to hold in whatever emotion was threatening to spill out. Nobody said things like this to her, not with this kind of honesty, not with this quiet, steady warmth. She glanced around her room, suddenly noticing how still everything felt, like the whole world had paused just to let this moment happen. "What happened today?" she asked softly. Daniel hesitated again. She could sense him choosing his words carefully. "It's not something I want to unload on you," he said. "I just wanted to hear you. That was enough." She felt a flutter in her chest. It was small, but real, and it scared her just a little. But she didn't want him to stop talking, not tonight. "Daniel," she said gently, "if something's weighing on you, you can tell me. You know that, right?" He sighed, a sound full of emotion. "Yeah, I know. And maybe I will. But right now, I just want to talk to you. About anything. About your day, about something simple. I just need your voice." Her heart melted in ways she wasn't prepared for. They talked about small things at first. Her day at work, the weather changing, a funny moment she witnessed earlier. But underneath every sentence, there was something else. Something unspoken. Something waiting. And Emma felt it growing with every passing minute. The clock moved quietly. The sky darkened. But neither of them wanted to end the call. Then, right when the conversation felt warmest, Daniel's tone shifted. "Emma, there's something I've been meaning to tell you," he said softly. Her breath caught. Not because she was afraid, but because some part of her already knew this moment was coming. And still, she wasn't ready for it. His voice lowered, careful and full of emotion. "I didn't call just because of a bad day," he said. "There's another reason." Emma's heart tightened again. She whispered, "What reason?" There was silence on the line. Not cold silence, just the kind that means the next words matter. And then, right when he finally drew in a breath to speak, the call cut out. The screen went dark, a dropped signal. Emma stared at her phone, stunned and breathless, wondering what he had been about to say. Emma stared at her phone like it had betrayed her. The call had ended so suddenly. No warning, no last words, just silence and a blank screen. She tried calling Daniel back right away. Once, twice, 3 times. Nothing. It went straight to voicemail each time, as if his phone had slipped out of the world for a moment. Emma pressed her palm against her forehead. Her heartbeat wasn't calm anymore. It raced with a mix of worry and something deeper. Something that came from the way Daniel's voice had sounded right before the call dropped. He had been about to say something important. She could feel it. She walked slowly around her room, trying to steady her breath. Then her phone buzzed. A text from Daniel appeared. "I'm okay. My signal dropped. I'm stepping outside. Give me a minute." Relief washed over her, soft and warm. But beneath it, the question grew louder. What had he been trying to say? Emma sat back on her bed, staring at the message. A minute felt strangely long. Her mind kept replaying his last line. There's another reason. Another reason for calling her. Another reason for wanting to hear her voice. Another reason he didn't want to say too quickly. Her thoughts drifted into places she wasn't ready to admit out loud. Then her phone lit up again. Incoming call. Emma swallowed and answered instantly. "Daniel?" He let out a slow breath, like he was finally able to talk freely. "Hey, sorry about that. The signal just vanished." "It's okay," she whispered. "You were saying something." There was a soft, almost nervous laugh on the other end. "Yeah, I was, and I'm still trying to figure out how to say it right." Emma sat straighter, her fingers curled into the blanket beside her. "You don't have to rush," she said gently. "Just say whatever feels true." Daniel stayed quiet for a moment, but it wasn't uncomfortable. It was the kind of silence full of meaning. "Emma," he said finally, "I didn't call you because I needed advice, or because of the day I had." She held her breath. He continued, voice slow and honest. "I called because when everything feels heavy, you're the first person I think of. You calm me, and I haven't felt that with anyone in a long time." Emma felt something warm bloom in her chest, something she'd tried not to show in her voice. "Daniel," she whispered. But he wasn't done. "There's more," he said softly, "and I'm trying not to mess this up. I don't want to make things weird between us." Her heart tightened. She understood that fear too well. "Nothing you say will make things weird," she told him. "Not with me." He breathed out, deeply. "I hope that's true." She could picture him standing outside somewhere, running a hand through his hair, trying to gather courage for words that mattered. "I've been thinking about you a lot," Daniel admitted, "more than a friend usually should." Emma felt something inside her tremble, a quiet tremor she didn't expect, a tremor that felt right. But she didn't interrupt. She wanted him to speak. She wanted to hear all of it. Daniel inhaled again. "And I know I'm being careful," he said, "maybe too careful, but I just don't want to lose what we already have." Emma's voice softened instantly. "You won't lose me," she said, "not like that." Those words came from a place deep in her heart, a place she usually guarded. She realized it more clearly in that moment, but Daniel still seemed uncertain. "Emma," he said, "if I tell you how I feel, do you promise you won't pull away from me?" Her hand tightened around the phone. Her heartbeat grew louder. And yet, she didn't want to run from this. "I promise," she said quietly. Another pause, another breath, this time deeper. "Okay," Daniel murmured, "then I need to tell you something honest." Emma leaned forward, barely breathing. Then, just as he began speaking, a sudden voice called his name in the background. Daniel stopped mid-sentence. Emma froze. Someone else was with him, and his tone shifted in a way she didn't expect. I have to explain," he said quickly, "but please don't think the wrong thing. Her heart sank with confusion. What did he mean? Who was calling him? And what exactly did he need to explain? The line stayed open, but the air between them felt heavier, and Emma slowly realized tonight was about to get complicated. For a moment, Emma didn't move. She sat completely still, the phone pressed to her ear, listening to the faint sounds on Daniel's side of the call. A woman's voice, soft, close, calling his name again. Emma's stomach tightened. She didn't want to jump to conclusions. She didn't want her thoughts to run ahead of the truth. But when she heard Daniel whisper, "Just give me a second," in a hurried tone, her heart sank a little anyway. The silence between them stretched, and Emma slowly realized tonight was about to get complicated. Finally, he came back on the line. "Emma, I'm still here," he said quietly. She steadied her breath. "Who was that?" Daniel hesitated. She could picture him rubbing the back of his neck, searching for the right words. "That was my sister," he said. "She showed up without telling me. I promise it's nothing strange." His sister. Relief brushed over her, soft and quick. But the real thing weighing on her heart wasn't the voice. It was the moment that had been interrupted, the truth he had been right on the edge of saying. Emma tried to sound calm. "Oh, I just wasn't expecting someone with you." Daniel sighed. "Neither was I. She just needed something from me. I'm outside now, so I can talk." Emma nodded to herself. "Okay." But Daniel heard the shift in her tone. "Are you all right?" he asked. Her fingers tightened around the phone. "I'm fine. You just sounded like you were about to say something important." He let out a soft breath. I still am, but I want to say it without interruptions." The sincerity in his voice pulled at her heart. She moved to sit near the window, watching the night stretch quietly across the sky. "Then say it," she whispered. He was quiet for a long second, not hesitant, just thoughtful. "Emma," he said gently, "when I told you that I think about you more than a friend should, I meant it. And I didn't know how to deal with that at first," he continued. "I kept telling myself it was just a phase, just comfort, just familiarity." Emma listened, every word settling somewhere deep. "But it isn't," he said. "It's something stronger, something I feel every time you speak, every time you laugh, every time you show up in my day without even knowing it." She felt warmth rise through her. Careful, slow, real. But Daniel kept going, voice low and steady. "I'm scared," he admitted, "not of what I feel, but of what might happen if I say it out loud." Emma swallowed. Her voice came out soft. "What do you feel?" The night felt perfectly still. Even the wind seemed to pause. Daniel's breath filled the silent moment. Then, "I feel something growing for you," he said. "Something I haven't felt in a long time." Emma closed her eyes. Her emotions swirled quietly. Not overwhelming, just deep. But then Daniel said something unexpected. "And I don't expect you to feel the same," he added quickly. "I don't want to pressure you. I just needed you to know." Her eyes opened. He thought she didn't feel anything? He thought she didn't notice her own heart racing? The way she waited for his texts? The way hearing his voice changed her whole day? Emma felt a gentle ache inside her. "Daniel," she whispered, "why would you think I don't feel anything?" His breath caught. "Because you're careful," he said quietly. "You're thoughtful. You hold your feelings close. And I never wanted to cross a line you didn't want crossed." Emma's voice softened even more. "You didn't cross anything," she said. "Not at all." He stayed silent, but she could feel the hope in that silence, the quiet shift, the beginning of something. Emma finally gathered her own courage. "Daniel," she said, "what you feel, I'm not running from it." The wind rustled outside his phone. He was definitely standing somewhere open, listening to every word like it mattered. "Then what does that mean?" he asked, voice almost a whisper. It was her turn to hesitate, not because she was unsure, but because this moment felt bigger than she expected. She opened her mouth to answer. "I think it means—" But before she could finish, she heard a sudden sound on his end of the call, a sharp, unexpected knock on a door, a voice calling his sister's name urgently. Emma straightened. Daniel muttered something under his breath. "Emma, I'm so sorry. I need to check what's going on. Can you stay on the line for a moment?" She nodded, even though he couldn't see it. "Yeah, I'm here." But as she waited, listening to the muffled voices in the background, one quiet fear settled inside her. Whatever was happening on his side, it might change the rest of their night. Emma held the phone close and listened to the distant voices on Daniel's side. She heard his sister speaking urgently. She heard the front door opening, then quick footsteps, like someone rushing. Her mind spun with worry, not the dramatic kind, just the quiet fear that something serious might be happening over there. A minute passed, then another. Finally, Daniel's voice came back, a little breathless. "Emma, I'm here. Sorry, something unexpected happened." Her heart tightened. Everything okay?" "Yeah," he said, though his voice carried a hint of stress. "My sister's friend showed up. She wasn't feeling well, and they needed help getting her inside." "Oh," Emma whispered, relief softening her shoulders. "Is she all right?" "I think so," he said. "She just had a long day and got overwhelmed. They're settling her on the couch now." Emma nodded to herself. "Okay, I'm glad it's nothing serious." There was a small pause before Daniel spoke again. "Emma, I didn't want this night to get messy. I was trying to tell you something important before all this happened." Her heart warmed. "I remember," she said softly, "and I was about to tell you something too." Daniel let out a quiet breath, half nervous, half hopeful. "I thought I heard you say that," he said. Emma smiled faintly. Even through the phone, she sensed his emotion. "Maybe," she whispered. A soft laugh left him. "Do you know how long I've wanted to hear you say something like that?" Emma felt her cheeks warm. "It's not easy to say," she admitted. "Feelings can be confusing." Daniel's voice softened instantly. "I know, and I never wanted to push you. That's why I've been so careful." Emma leaned back against her wall, the phone warm in her hand. She remembered all the little moments, the way he listened, the way he asked about her day, the way he always made sure she felt seen. Maybe those moments had meant more than either of them realized. "Daniel," she said in a steady tone, "what you told me earlier, it matters to me." He swallowed audibly. "Does it?" She nodded. "More than you think." The wind outside brushed against her window, the night unusually still, as if waiting for their next words. Emma took a small breath. "I've been thinking about you too," she said quietly, "maybe more than I wanted to admit." Daniel didn't speak right away, but when he did, his voice was full of emotion. "Emma, you have no idea what that means to me." "I think I do," she whispered. He breathed out softly, like a weight had lifted. "Can I be honest about something else?" he asked. "Of course." "I called tonight because I wanted to tell you that I've been scared of losing you," he said. "Not because of anything you've done, but because I was starting to feel something real, and I didn't know if you were even close to feeling it too." Emma closed her eyes. "What if I am?" she asked gently. His breath caught. "Are you?" She didn't answer immediately. She wanted her words to land softly, truthfully. "I don't promise things easily," she whispered. "But I do know this. You mean a lot to me, Daniel, and hearing your voice tonight made that clearer."
Then she heard something she wasn't expecting, a small, unsteady exhale, like he was genuinely moved. "Emma, thank you," he murmured. "I needed to hear that more than you know." Her chest warmed. But the night wasn't done surprising them yet. Suddenly, she heard footsteps and a door closing loudly on his side. Daniel sighed. "I might need to go in a minute. My sister wants to talk to me about something." Emma tried to sound understanding. Of course, family comes first. "I don't want to end this call," he said quickly. "Not when we're finally talking honestly." Her heart fluttered. "I don't want to end it either." He hesitated, then said something that softened her more than she expected. "Before I go inside, can I ask you one thing? Anything." His voice lowered. "After tonight, do you think there's a chance for us to explore this? Not rush, not pressure, just see where it leads?" Emma felt the question settle deep inside her. She wasn't afraid of it. Not anymore. She opened her mouth to answer, but before she could speak, she heard another voice behind Daniel, his sister again, sounding more urgent this time. "Daniel, can you come now? Please." He sighed, torn. "Emma, I'm so sorry. I have to go for a moment." "It's okay," she said softly. "Go, I'm right here." "I'll call you back as soon as I can," he said. "I promise." The line clicked. The call ended. Emma lowered the phone slowly. Her heart was warm, but unsettled. Because his question still lingered in the air. Was there a chance for the two of them to grow into something deeper? She knew her answer, but she also knew he needed to hear it from her directly. And now she had to wait. Emma sat in the quiet of her room, the phone resting in her hand. The night felt softer now, calmer, but her heart still carried a gentle ache, the kind that comes from waiting for someone whose words matter. Daniel had left the call suddenly, but she knew it wasn't intentional. Life had simply pulled him away for a moment. Still, she couldn't stop replaying his question in her mind. "Do you think there's a chance for us to explore this?" Her chest warmed every time she remembered it. He had sounded hopeful, vulnerable, and very real. Emma tucked her legs close and leaned against her pillow, staring at her silent phone. Minutes felt longer than usual. Then, finally, it lit up. Incoming call. Her breath caught. She answered instantly. "Daniel?" His voice came through, steady and gentle. "Hey, I'm sorry. I didn't want to keep you waiting." "It's okay," she whispered. "Is everything all right?" "Yeah, my sister just needed help with something. She's fine now." Relief washed through her, slow and warm. "Good," Emma said softly. For a moment, neither of them spoke. The silence wasn't heavy, just full of everything they still needed to say. Then Daniel broke it. "Emma, about what I asked you earlier." She felt her heart tighten again. "I know," she whispered, "and I didn't get to answer." He waited quietly. She could feel how important this moment was to him. Emma took a slow breath. "Daniel, the truth is, yes." The quiet on his end deepened. "Yes?" he asked gently. She nodded, even though he couldn't see it. "Yes," she repeated. "I think there is a chance for us, a real one." She felt a warmth sweep through her chest the moment she spoke those words out loud. On the other end, Daniel exhaled slowly, a breath full of emotion, relief, and something she could only describe as quiet joy. "Emma," he whispered, "you just made my whole night." She smiled, unable to stop herself. "I meant it," she said. "I didn't want to rush anything either, but I don't want to ignore what's been growing between us." "I've felt it too," he said softly, "every day." Her heart softened. There was something so sincere in the way he spoke, like every word came straight from the place he usually kept guarded. "I was scared," she admitted. Not because of you, just because feelings like this can be overwhelming. I know, he said. I was scared too. Emma shifted slightly, holding the phone closer. But being scared doesn't mean it's wrong, she said. Sometimes it just means it matters. Daniel went quiet for a moment, letting her words settle. Then he spoke again, voice warm and steady. Emma, can I tell you something? He asked. Of course. I wasn't just having a bad day, he said softly. I mean, yes, it was rough, but the truth is, I called because I missed you, plain and simple. Her breath trembled in her chest. She whispered, I missed you too. He let out a soft laugh, the kind that only comes from relief mixed with happiness. Then maybe, he said gently, we don't have to pretend anymore. Emma felt her heart widen, like a quiet door swinging open. Maybe we don't, she whispered. For a moment, neither of them said a word. They just breathed together over the phone, letting the truth settle into something peaceful and real. Then Daniel added, whatever this becomes, I want to take it slow, respectful, honest. I want to make sure you always feel safe and valued. Emma felt her eyes warm. You already make me feel that way, she said. Good, he whispered, because that's all I want. The room around her felt softer than before, not because anything had changed physically, but because something inside her had. Daniel spoke again, his voice lower, full of meaning. Emma? Yes? I'm really glad you returned my call tonight. She smiled, feeling that simple sentence settle deep in her heart. I'm glad you called, she said. Your first line changed my whole mood. He laughed gently. Then I'll keep trying to say things that make your days better. You already do, she whispered. They stayed on the phone a long time after that, talking, laughing quietly, letting the new truth between them rest gently instead of rushing forward. And as the night grew deeper, something beautiful settled between them. Not a dramatic confession, not a sudden leap, just two hearts finally stepping toward each other, slowly and honestly. The beginning of something real. A quiet promise that whatever came next, they would walk into it together, one calm moment at a time. And in that peaceful silence, Emma realized something simple and true. Returning his call wasn't just the start of a conversation. It was the start of a new chapter, one she hadn't expected, but one she was ready for.